I tried to sort of shorten my slides, but I couldn't do it completely. But I'm going to go over one story, which I always tell to the startups at NIC, at all other places where I go for mentorships. They ask me a lot of questions that we're a new startup, we're a people of three, we're people of, we're a startup of 4 people, 3 people, 2 people. Do we care about UX? Shall we ignore that in the beginning? How do we sort of engage in this new UX world when we start our own company? So I give them some suggestions, I give them some ideas, I explain them, in my opinion, what a basic design is. I'm going to share those insights also with you. For some of you who are expert here, you might not be very excited about it, but I really wanted to end my UX Pakistan's last talk, because we're going to have a more high-level discussion in the panel, but I wanted to focus on last talk, especially for the students, and especially for the startups, and especially for those young designers who recently joined a company where they don't find a lot of support. So my talk is going to be about that. So my talk, I gave this talk earlier in Karachi, and I modified it a little bit now based on this audience. Of course, my kids are around, so so it's about ifs and buts of UX in startup. I'm Suleman Shahid. I think I don't need to talk about it a little more. Mainly, my work is with company in Cordoba, where I work as a designer. Other than that, of course, my main role is assistant professor in computer science at LUMS. At LUMS, I manage this Chisel lab, which we're trying to change the name for Social Experience to Social Wellbeing Lab. At Chisel, our mission is to design people-centered, user-friendly, culturally appropriate, and inclusive digital technologies to improve the quality of life and well-being of individuals. So these are the main terms: design, inclusive, technology, well-being, individual. So if you look at that, my work is on the intersection of well-being, design, and technology. And at the center is this experience, individualized, customized experiences for individuals, so that we use data, technology, all other means to understand human behavior and design tools and technologies so that an individual have a very meaningful, delightful experience, which also contributes in improving its well-being. Well-being is a fundamental part of my research. I work with mental health, I work with disabilities, I work with people with special needs, dementia. But other than that, another hat I'm wearing is also a UX designer. I'm not really a designer. I don't know if I can call myself a designer, although I have a formal design training. But I think I was almost more like a theoretical person than a practical person. I've given this talk under this name, How to Park Your Intuition and Embark on Affect-Driven Journey. Hunches bring punches, but I've modified it now for today's talk. So it was a half-day workshop. I have reduced it to 20 minutes. So please, stay with me. There are 4 important parts. I'll very quickly go over them. Why is UX important? Is there any ROI? Second one is what is UX? Success stories. Normally, I spend a lot of time on that. Third is how to begin, how to hire, which process, which methods. And fourth is how to continue doing it. I think that's also very important. So why? Why not to ignore UX design in your startup? When you started maybe a few weeks ago, that's your young company, your group of 3, young energetic startup, or maybe a mature startup, mature in the sense that you spent a year and you still want to explore if UX is important. You can't ignore it because you're not Apple. This is, you all know the time when we had to charge our mouse like this, the mouse. Imagine that this product was by a startup and you had to charge the mouse like this. You would not have survived in the market for too long. There were memes all over the world. People would be making fun of you. They'll be saying what a company, they don't even know how to charge. In the case of Apple, they can live with that. They can live with the negative feedback. They can live with the positive feedback. They can live with a lot of other things because as a company, they offer so much more than a single mouse that it isn't going to destroy the reputation. But you as a startup where your single product is the main contributor to your revenue, to your market standing, and to your make and break, that you just can't afford to have anything on that. And good and bad design is everywhere, so it's not that it's only here. It's everywhere. It's in the West. Sometimes this good and bad design is intentional. Sometimes this bad design it's unintentional. Sometimes this bad design is intentional. But in summary, cleaning your own shit shouldn't be very difficult, especially if you have planned ahead and you don't rely on your intuition. That's the most important part, that if you plan well, you do it, it's never too late. And good design matters. Good design can be a great ROI. I think if you look here, the way we use our pencils, that it's a very interesting example that almost this part is almost always unused. And if you don't have, like in this part, I think in terms of revenue, that might not be the best example, but in terms of revenue, of course, you can save a lot of money. It's just by paying attention to the details. So what is design? I'm not going to spend more time because you already know what good design is, what bad design is. We all know that it's not only about UI. Mudassir talked about it beautifully. That's not UI kits. It's not only about visual design. It's more than that. And good design is beyond visual design. And good design is absolutely beyond visual design. It's also about aesthetics. And we all know from our basic introduction to HCI class that how our professor used to tell us that why this remote control is a very bad idea because of the too many options and the features it has, and how elderly especially try to make a simplistic version of this remote control so that they can actually act on it, they can actually use it, because this becomes useless for them and this becomes functional for them. So abhi jo Javeria ne baat ki chepi wali, we love doing it all the time for good. For me, the design is problem solving, and it also involves wicked problem solving. It is always result oriented in a functional sense. It is process driven. It has a business value. It is finite. It's not ever never ending. It doesn't start when you're born. It doesn't end when you go to your grave. It has a limited process. And of course, good design is functional. And my favorite thing about good design is that it brings smile on your face. When you work with a product, it's about delightfulness also. It brings smile on your face. Every time someone asks a designer just to make something look pretty, a baby kitten dies. And then, in our life, there are so many baby kittens which have died in the past, so many of those, because we have been asked, isko zara behtar kar dein, isko khoobsurat kar dein, isko fonting kar dein, and that's something we don't do as a designer. A very, very small part of it, our part does it, but not really. We're not decorators. And of course, this new interesting debate on design, it does make it very clear that good design and design doing is also about people, technology, but also finding the right fit for the business. If you ignore business, you can be a cool designer, but then you will not be able to serve the purpose. If hiring a designer in 1980s, लोग कहते थे वो कौन होता है? 90s में कहते थे टॉम ये भी कर लेगा. टॉम वाज अ सॉफ्टवेयर इंजीनियर. उसका काम ये भी था कि उसने सॉफ्टवेयर भी बनाना है, उसने घर की सफाई भी करनी है, ऑफिस की सफाई भी करनी है, साथ थोड़ा बहुत उसने ग्राफिक डिजाइन भी करना है. 2000 के अंदर उन्होंने कहा या आई थिंक इट्स अ गुड आइडिया, डिजाइनर होना चाहिए लेकिन पार्ट टाइम रख लें. नाउ जो करंट फिनोमेना वो ये है, डिजाइनर कहाँ पे है, लेट्स हायर. Especially अभी आप देखें, if you look at the open jobs जो कि UX के अंदर पाकिस्तान में available हैं, everyone is asking for a UX designer, and there are very few of them, decent UX designers out there, जिनको फौरन लोग hire भी कर रहे हैं. So I think the world has changed. Earlier, 100K for a designer, let's hire 5 developers. Up कहते हैं 100K for a designer, arrange an interview. So there's this decent shift. I have seen this shift myself, in the 10-15 years I spent in Europe. When I graduated, designer की नौकरी इतनी आसान नहीं थी. But, when I was leaving, designer were earning as good as a software engineer would earn. So दोनों का salary gap बिल्कुल खत्म हो चुका था. And nature of also design is changing. It's not like working in silos. It's really working in cross-functional teams and focus beyond a single solution. And whenever you have to focus beyond a single solution, that never becomes a one-man show, because you can only focus on a single multiple solutions when you work in a team, and then you have this collaborative process going on where multiple people give multiple input, and then you take that into consideration for going forward. And of course, we will see again and again that good design will take a central stage and will become a good business. And that is the third part and the most important part. I'll spend 10 minutes. And these are the very, very quick, information nuggets. I can't spend a lot of time on that, but I'm happy to sort of take it offline or maybe do another workshop whenever you like, because the slides were designed for a half a day session. People want gadgets, and people don't want gadgets, they want services. And I think Sabah really very nicely talked about it yesterday when she talked about from beans, we have gone to a very nice experience in Gloria Jeans. This whole process of moving from beans to this coffee experience really tells that we don't want this object, we also want a nice experience around these objects. I think the fourth and the most important thing in a startup, which I always say, that you have to, iman ki had tak aapka yakeen hona chahiye ki UX important hai. Agar as a team, as a company, a small company, agar aapko yakeen nahi hai ki UX is valuable, it is very difficult to actually act on that. It's very difficult to include that in your process. So that's my first message always. And shared value बहुत ज़्यादा ज़रूरी है. UX design is more of a philosophy, and whole team has to believe in this. It's just, this cannot be a one-man show. This cannot be a designer who जो बार-बार कहता है कि यार UX बहुत ज़रूरी है, इस पर तवज्जो दें. As a team, as a young, energetic team, you need to believe in that. You need to find value. And you need to go beyond awareness. There are so many maturity models out there for the UX के बारे में है जो कहते हैं कि you start with a stage जहाँ पे आप unaware होते हैं. Then जहाँ उसके बाद stage 2 आती है जहाँ पे आपके पास limits of time होती है, लेकिन आप self-referential बन जाते हैं, फिर आप expert बन जाते हैं, centralized हो जाती है आपकी company में और distributed हो जाती है. I think the worst idea is to stay here. You can't afford to be unaware and you can't reject it. The first and the most important thing, don't aim at it. You're a UX company. Don't try to be, make UX as a central theme of your company, but make sure that there is some value of UX and UX design in your company. Start incorporating it at early stage. It's really like a waterfall model. The later you go in the process, the higher the cost would be, and the poorer the outcome would be. So the earlier you can start, the better it is for your company. And don't be reactive. We hear, and this is really based on a lot of stories that वो हमारे पास जब हमने टेस्ट किया, प्रोजेक्ट लॉन्च की, पता चला लोगों को हमारा बटन नजर नहीं आ रहा. I've seen examples in hardware where they have made the physical products and actually they were manufactured, they were 500,000 units for testing, and only then they came to know कि ये तो चल नहीं रही. And then they start reacting on it, one by one. And I think that's a very bad idea in a startup context. It is very, very important that you finish this loop as quickly as possible. In a big company, people can take 2 weeks and 3 weeks and 4 weeks. In a startup, you have to go very fast. You need to minimize total loop time. You cannot spend weeks and weeks on ideation. Focus on measurement. One of the worst things I've seen in startups, even when they bring UX design as a process methodology in their startups, they don't measure. They don't measure the outcome. They don't measure how it is contributing. They have no numbers. When you don't have numbers, and you would believe that the incorporation of UX is not making any difference. And the measurement part is extremely important. You need to measure as much as you can so that there is an ROI. You can't learn if you don't measure. And you have to stay agile. It's again, I really wish that you had time to view the waterfall. And those of us who are computer scientists, we know very well what do we mean by going waterfall. You have to stay agile. And we are fake agilers. We just use the name of agile. We almost never, in many software houses I work with, we all say we are agile. We are agile because it looks fancy, but really we're not genuinely agile in having the right type of freedom, in having the right type of control, having the right type of process. It becomes just a component-based software development model where UX becomes a very small part of it at some stage. It doesn't become an integral part of it. So fake agile नहीं चाहिए, उसकी philosophy के साथ agile चाहिए. And validate, please validate. जितना ज़्यादा validate कर सकते हैं, even within your loop ज़रूर करें. Refine the right measurements, improve your measurements, make them appropriate for your context. किताब पढ़ के जो measurement आती है उसको भी ढूंढ लें, लेकिन कोई measurement आपके लिए नहीं चल रही, कोई मसला नहीं है. अपनी measurement को improve करें, उसको अपने लिए appropriate करें, उसे contextualize करें, उसको relevant बनाएं. And there is always this discussion, there's a product, at a market, and a problem, and a solution. What comes first? And you can spend your whole life on that. You can spend your whole life, what comes first, a product, a market, really depends. Sometimes a great product comes first and then you try to find a market and that can solve a problem. And a good book would always tell you problem comes first. And I think there are so many different perspectives and deviations on that, one, but keep it, don't always try to read everything from a book. See what other people have done, but then try to translate that on your own, on your own project. All these success stories out there, they have their very own context. You can learn on a very hypothetical level from Airlift or from Kareem or from Microsoft or from whatever, but then your own reality is also very different. If it was that easy that a white paper from Kareem or a white paper from Airlift would help you to become a great startup, everyone would have done it. It is not happening, which means there's more than that. There is more than white paper which can help you in becoming a great startup. This is more contextualization. This is more making more appropriate and relevant. So make sure that that is also a part of your DNA as a startup. You cannot afford to ignore research. You have to find a research method which is the right research at the right time. Again, Sava yesterday talked about it in a very interesting manner. There's so many research methods out there, and every one of them, depending on the method, would work cool. As a researcher, some of us who are out there, also in the audience, you will know that on every method which I've written here, you can find books on each method. Every method has a pro, every cons. So you need to find the right method to work on your research. Again, in your toolbox, there's so many tools out there. Yesterday, Hassan and I was having a discussion on how, if we want to run an online workshop, would you like to use Morale? Would you like to use Miro? Would you like to use any other tool? Again, from Photoshop, from Illustrator, but also toolkit on a very high level. Jiveria gave a very good example of strategic thinking or design thinking or system thinking. Hassan also talked about these things, speculative design. Hera talked about it. They're all on a very high level toolkits which we can use. There are also micro level tools which we can use, and they fit very well as a part of a particular vertical. They also fit very well as a part of a particular horizontal. This horizontal and vertical have to fit together and to be used in a very specific manner for your own startup. अगेन किताब बहुत मजे की चीज होती है, लेकिन करना आपने होता है. जब आप खुद करने बैठते हैं, पता चलता ये है कि कार्ड सॉर्टिंग मैथड बहुत मजे का था, आपके चल नहीं रहा यूजर के साथ, क्योंकि उसको अंग्रेजी पढ़नी नहीं आती. So make sure these tools and research methods are contextualized. Hire one person. If you're a small company, hire एक आदमी, सिर्फ एक. Don't think about 10, don't think about 15. पाकिस्तान में आपको शायद कोई कंपनी ना मिले जिसके पास 10 UX लोगों की टीम हो. बड़े से बड़ा बैंक उठा लें, I'm talking about a serious UX team. उनके पास नहीं है, तो why you as a UX company you'll aim at a big UX team? And people come very ambitious, they say कि हम कितने लोग hire कर लें, and I always tell them कि आगे से start कर लें. And really what I mean by half is that अगर एक afford नहीं कर सकते, किसी एक बंदे को part time UX की responsibility दे दें, उसकी training करवा लें, उसे Coursera पे भेज दें, उसे Udemy पे उसको $1000 लगा के उसकी training करवा दें, उसको 2 महीने दे दें. But start somewhere. The first, and you can only start when you believe in this. You can only start when you have a shared value. And when you start, you can think about, be very careful who are you hiring. Artist hai, graphic designer hai, UI designer hai, critical problem solver hai, ya QA tester hai. Sometimes as a software engineering team ke andar bahut zabardast QA testers hote hain. And QA testers can do a great job also in usability testing, in usability engineering. They might not be the best user researchers, but sometimes you can start very late. Forget the user research part because you can't afford it, but now at least before you ship, before you go online, give responsibility to the QA tester कि उस testing के साथ साथ उसने usability testing भी करनी है. Again, you have to be very flexible. You have to understand कि आपकी limitations हैं. And we talked about it again with Aslan yesterday. It's a mess when it comes to labels. There's so many out there. मकसद आपका क्या है कि ये काम करवाना है. This is a general काम है जो करने वाला है, जो मर्जी टाइटल दे दे. It doesn't really matter. There is the very interesting term जो हमारी फैमिली में, I don't know कहीं और भी इस्तेमाल होती है, बाहर होती हो. मेरी एक आंटी खाना बनाया करती थी, कहते थे बचकू. बचकू खाना वो खाना होता था जिसमें 2-3 सालन जो बच जाते थे उनको मिला के नई डिश बन जाती थी. ये भी मिलाया, अब कीमा बचा है, वो अंडे बचे हैं, आलू बचा है, मिलाया, उस पर कोई तड़का लगाया, नई डिश बना दी. And I think very often we have to do this bachku thingy in our startup approach. We have this UI designer, you have this UX designer, you have this. Mila milu ke, at the right time start karne ki zarurat hoti hai, with the right framework on the top of it. That's very, very important. Aapko start karna hai. And give them the freedom. If you think he's a dump, the new fresh UX designer, give the freedom to this dump. Free the dump. दैट्स वेरी वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट. अगर उसको फ्रीडम नहीं देंगे, उसको आपने अपने से कंट्रोल करना एज अ टीम, वो कभी भी आपके सामने अच्छी आउटपुट नहीं लेके आएगा. यू नीड टू फ्री द डम if you think he or she is the dumb as a designer. And there is a more than that. UX is not only about making sure that you only do good UI, but it's also about product, it's about branding, it's about sales, marketing. There's a lot of stuff which is happening: website, sales deck, pitch, internal training, brochures, press kit. There's a lot of things which a design team has to work on in collaboration with the marketing team, product team, and all the teams. But you don't have to focus on everything. Start small, start focused. You can do a lot of other things, product competitor analysis, user testing, user personas, but set very clear goal. अगर आपने डिजाइनर को ये बोल दिया पहले दिन कि we love to have you, हम आपको 50,000 रुपए दे रहे हैं और आपकी जॉब डिस्क्रिप्शन जो है वो ये है, and you can imagine what will happen. So don't do that. Don't really do it to your designers these things. उनको बहुत clear goal set करें. बहुत clear goal. Prioritize what really impact the user experience, and then focus on that, and then everything else ignore the noise. And don't really teach, because very often in technology startups हमें इतनी ज़्यादा आदत पड़ गई हुई है टेक्नोलॉजी ड्रिवन माइंडसेट की कि हम अपने UX UI के काम को भी एज अ कोड रिव्यू के तौर पर ट्रीट करते हैं. सुबह बैठे थे, रात को क्या काम करके उठे हो, जैसे उसने कोई 1000 लाइन ऑफ कोड लिखा होगा और रात को वो गिटहब पे पुश करेगा, आपको दिखा देगा कि मैंने ये काम कर लिए. क्रिएटिव जॉब इज अ वेरी वेरी डिफरेंट फिनोमेना ऑल टुगेदर. यू कांट हैव अ डेली बेस्ड आउटपुट. इट्स नॉट मेकिंग 20 सोशल मीडिया पोस्ट जिसको रात को मैंने किसी रेस्टोरेंट के लिए उसके खूबसूरत खाने की तस्वीर के साथ उसकी बैकग्राउंड चेंज करके ऑनलाइन डालना है. It's a very different beast altogether. Someday you have a very creative day, and someday you just don't want to think about those things. You package your productivity and productive outcome in a very different way, very different from a creative output you will have from a technology team. So that's very very important. And BAAT, CHEET. If you think that designer is not doing a good job, उसको आपने हफ्ता पहले काम दिया था और वो बहुत lazy है, वो cheating कर रहा है, don't assume. Talk to the person. If you want to find the cheat, start the BAAT cheat. That's a very important thing, because if you don't discuss, you don't understand the process, the way designer is working in your team. उसको समझने की जरूरत है, उसका प्रोसेस समझने की जरूरत है. I've seen a lot of times, सर सुलेमान आपने हमें कहा डिजाइनर को हायर करो, हमने 3 महीने पहले हायर किया, उसकी प्रोडक्टिविटी देखे बिल्कुल जीरो है. और मैंने पूछा कितनी दफा डिस्कस किया आपने उसका प्रोसेस, आपको पता है वो काम कैसे करता है? सर ये हमारा काम तो नहीं है ना पता वो कैसे काम करता है. वेल आपका ही काम है. इफ यू डोंट अंडरस्टैंड, इफ यू अंडरस्टैंड आपकी टेक्नोलॉजी टीम कैसे काम कर रही है, यू आल्सो नीड टू अंडरस्टैंड कि आपकी डिजाइन टीम कैसे काम कर रही है. एटलीस्ट गेट अ बेसिक अंडरस्टैंडिंग. Hire external consultants. There are many people out there जो कि आपके स्टार्टअप की बिल्कुल फ्री ऑफ कॉस्ट हफ्ते में महीने में 2 घंटे देने को तैयार हैं. I can tell you, I have given so much time to the people so that at least उनका process steer हो जाए. आप खुद ना समझें कि आप चैंपियन हो गए हैं. Try to hire other people also. There's so many people out there who are willing to help. अगर आपने अपनी टीम के साथ and hire experienced people, जिनको थोड़ा बहुत पता भी है. And how to continue doing it, that's my last part. Again, मैं आपको पिछले सेक्शन में बहुत सी बातें की हैं. आपकी पूरी की पूरी team would be a disaster if you don't really have an excellent communication channel. And on the top of the communication channel is very, very, very important to have a trust in the person you hire and the trust in the team. Without trust and the communication, there is no way आप स्टीव जॉब्स को भी अपने पास ले आएंगे, या तो आपको उसको लीड देनी पड़ेगी या उस पर ट्रस्ट करना पड़ेगा. And so yeah, and so again, so somebody raised a point here. What I meant by expert is really, I think I just quickly saw at the chat window that हमारे यहाँ बड़े डिजाइन थिंकर आजकल आए हुए हैं. वो एक बंदा हफ्ते का डिजाइन थिंकिंग का कोर्स करता है, ऑनलाइन जाता है, कहता है कि मैं डिजाइन थिंकर हूँ. वो आपको बताता है ये एक होती है एम्पैथी. उस एम्पैथी में होता ही है कि यूजर रिसर्च करनी होती है, फिर बताता है ये आपको आइडिएट करना है, फिर बताता है ये प्रोटोटाइप करना है, फिर बताता है ये टेस्ट करना है. फिर से आपको स्लाइड डेक देता है जो आइडिया का होता है, फिर आप उससे बड़े जबरदस्त डिजाइन थिंकर बन जाते हैं. आई थिंक उससे बचना है आपने, क्योंकि वो सब काम कर सकते हैं. ये जो चुरन फरोश डिजाइन थिंकर्स हैं ना, हमें इनसे आई थिंक देयर इज अ लॉट ऑफ रिस्पेक्ट. यू माइट बी गुड, वो हमारा ना वो आई डोंट नो, कभी आपने पंजाब के अंदर ट्रैवल किया है बसों के अंदर पंजाब में ना, आई यूज्ड टू ट्रैवल अ लॉट प्योरली फॉर फन, आल्सो फॉर माय रिसर्च आई यूज्ड टू डू दैट. एंड पंजाब में वो जंतरी वाले आते थे. वो होता ये था कि वो जैसे बस रुकती थी स्टॉप के ऊपर, एक जंतरी वाला आता था, वो आपका फ्यूचर बेचता था. वो आएगा, सीट पे जाएगा, जंतरी बेचेगा। हमारे यहाँ आजकल डिजाइन ऐसे जंतरी के तौर पे बिक रहा है। बंदा आता है, कहता है ये कि मैं डिजाइन थिंकर हूँ और मैंने वर्कशॉप करवाता हूँ आपको, 3 घंटे के बाद डिजाइन थिंकर मान जाएंगे, उसके बाद आपको जो सोल्यूशन होगा बेस्ट सोल्यूशन होगा। I think we need to go beyond that. I have no disrespect, but I think what we're doing, we're not serving the community. इतनी मुश्किल से पाकिस्तान में डिजाइन की कोई वैल्यू बनना शुरू हुई है, उसका नुकसान क्या हो रहा है कि जो जंतरी वाले हैं और जो चूरन फरोश हैं वो लीड ले रहे हैं, और जो एक्चुअल कंट्रीब्यूट करने वाले हैं वो बैकस्टेज पे चले गए हैं, और हमारे स्टार्टअप्स जो हैं दे आर नॉट कंट्रीब्यूटिंग टू द नॉलेज इकोनॉमी. So this is very, very important that we make sure that we talk with the right people at the right time. And finally, last few thoughts, how to continue doing it. And this is especially for my young UX designers, for you guys who are out there. You take other people's experience in the startups with a pinch of salt. आपको हर बंदा बताएगा उसको कितना पता है. आपका सीईओ तो बताएगा आपको कि उसको उससे ज्यादा किसी को पता ही कुछ नहीं है, क्योंकि उसकी डिग्री बाहर की है, वो सिलिकॉन वैली में 10 साल लगा के आ चुका है, उसको हर चीज का पता है. वो कंसल्टेंट से भी यही बोलेगा कि इनको कुछ नहीं पता, मुझे सब कुछ पता है. I think the most important thing is actually how you stay confident. If you have a degree, if you know कि आपको अपना काम आता है, अगर आपके 2-3 साल आपने इंडस्ट्री में लगाए हैं, आप स्टार्टअप से काम कर रहे हैं, थोड़ा सा अपना कॉन्फिडेंस मेंटेन रखें, खड़े हो, ask the right question to your CEO. उसकी हर बात मत माने, नंबर्स के साथ empirically with the right confidence उससे बात करें. I think this is very important. Pick your own war. आप जब कभी भी किसी कंपनी में जाकर नौकरी करना शुरू करते हैं, you can't win everything. And अगर आपने ये करना शुरू कर दिया कि आपने हर जंग लड़ना शुरू कर दी कि every time I am the right person, don't do it. Stand on a more important micro decisions. Leave the micro decisions. आपको लगता ये है कि आप black on white is a bad color, लेकिन CEO कहता है अच्छा कलर है. आपको लगता ये है कि you can leave this war, leave it, leave the fight, but stay on a higher level, जो कि आपके लिए बहुत ज्यादा जरूरी है. If you pick every fight, you're going to lose on the small fight. You'll never be able to win the bigger fight. So pick the right ones, leave the small ones, and try to introduce your own way of working in this company. You don't really have to follow the rules जो अपने किताबों में पढ़े हैं. Every new company, every new group has their own way of working. You were 3 or 4 friends who came together, you know each other, find your own processes, learn from the best practices, but then adopt. This is important. Get to know the developers, please designers. मैं सुन के थक आ गया हूँ. वो HTML तो हमारा काम नहीं है, ये CSS तो हमारा काम नहीं है. ये मतलब this is your job to understand how a browser works. What is the rocket science behind it? You need to understand how a CSS renders. It's a very basic thing. If you can be a great designer, and if you can't understand the basic thing in a startup, there is no way that you can survive in a startup environment. You have to understand the language. You have to understand how to work with a technical team. You have to understand the developer's mindset and basic understand. You just can't say, oh my God, मैं तो designer हूँ sir, मुझसे तो ये चीज़ नहीं होती. I think थोड़ा सा इसको कम करने की ज़रूरत है. Share your knowledge with your team. उनके साथ सेशन करें, उनको बताएं कि आपको क्या पता है, उनके साथ सक्सेस स्टोरी डिस्कस करें, उनको बताएं कि एप्पल ने ऐसे किया, ये ROI चेंज हो गया, माइक्रोसॉफ्ट ने ऐसे किया. स्टार्टअप्स की एग्जांपल दें. हमारे यहाँ अपने यहाँ क्रीम एक जबरदस्त एग्जांपल है जिसका UX over the time कितना जबरदस्त improve किया. We have example from Uber, and you can actually give example that how Uber and Cream experience is very, very different experience, but still work in a very different way. Take those examples and go there. That's very, very important. And मजे से इनको बताएं. आपकी जॉब के बहुत क्लियर ऑब्जेक्टिव होने चाहिए फ्रॉम डे 1 व्हेन यू आर बीइंग हायर्ड. शुरू में बता दें कि आप क्या करेंगे और क्या नहीं करेंगे, और पोलाइटली उन चीज़ों को बार बार रिपीट करते रहें, क्योंकि उसका नुकसान ये है कि आपको अगर आप हर चीज़ कर रहे हैं कोई काम भी ठीक नहीं करें, तो नुकसान ये होगा कि पीपल विल बी अनहैप्पी विद यू. ऑलवेज, ऑलमोस्ट ऑलवेज, always focus on people. That's extremely important for your project. Lekin don't take it religiously. Also focus on the business. Sometimes MVP is more important than absolute perfect user needs. Sometimes it is more important to go to the market and get the feedback than having this perfect human-centered design. You need to balance those things. You're in a startup environment. You need to go fast. You need to fail fast, and you need to fail meaningfully. You don't wake up in the morning and say, "Aaj to fail honge inshallah taala." You fail. You try your best, then somehow you still fail. But you don't fail with the mindset of failing today. So you really need to think about it in a sort of more interesting manner. Last 2 points. You will have many issues. You will have many problems. You have to park most of your issues to see the success, to see the end of the light, to see the end of light at the end of the tunnel. If you don't park your issues and you bring it every day in every meeting, that next week will be your last week and there's no way you can continue. You have to park. You have to park. Talk to experienced people again and again. Please, बहुत ज़रूरी है. Always stay focused and always focus on the big why. That's a very, very important thing. Micro issues बहुत ज़रूरी हैं, but if you don't believe in the product, if you do, if I work for Kareem, if I work for Uber, if I work for a big company like Jazz, if I work for a big telecom company, I need to believe in that. I think that like the big companies like those, they're also bringing us big social impact. They're changing the lifestyle. Kareem and Uber and Airlift have really changed the way we work, we travel, we have our own life. So you need to believe in the systems also. You need to believe in what you do. And if you don't do that, if there is no big why, very often you'll get bored, and then you should always start searching for other companies. And there's so many companies out there. We're also hiring at Cordoba. You can come to us. Hassan always hires. Many other people also hires. You can come to us, but then don't stay with the company you're with. Thank you very much for your time.